Good evening, sodomists and necrophiliacs. You're listening to the Collective Gamescast, the gaming podcast that gives you a voice. This is episode 7, Horror Games Special. I'm your host who's lost his entire sanity bar, the Malgadar. With me, as always, is Cordyceps Fungus Chris, and our guests tonight are Yogi, because he ain't afraid of no ghost, and Drew, the Chainsaw Maniac. As always, you can join the festivities in the Google Hangout on Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to be on the show, you can email us, collectivegamescast@gmail.com. So, Chris, I got to start with something serious tonight, and this is a bit of a personal matter. Sorry, but anybody who's got time, if they can check out change.org and search the name Lampe, L-A-M-P-E. A member of the family was unfortunately run down by a person in a truck who was texting and driving, and he has unfortunately had to undergo quite a lot of surgeries, and he's going to be doing a lot of rehab, and we want to make sure that this person gets charged, so we're making sure that the sheriff of the county where this happened will be more than well aware that people know this happened, and we can get a prosecution on this person. Yeah. Uncle Jack's a radiologist, one of the best people I know. He's an athlete. He's in great shape. He's got adopted children. I mean, awesome dude. It should not have happened to somebody like him, that's for sure. Out riding his bike, gets hit by a texter and driver. So, just wanted to throw that out there. Anybody who can take a second and do that. I did it myself. It seriously took about 2 minutes total. So, it's not much, but it means a lot to me. Okay, so that was the sad, serious part of the show. Now we're going to get to the fun, serious part of the show. We got a nice giveaway going tonight for our listeners. We happen to have a digital download code for The Last of Us Remastered on PlayStation 4, and we're going to give it away to somebody tonight. So, we'll get to the giveaway a bit later. But suffice to say, somebody can walk away with a free copy of an amazing game tonight.
Love that game.
We could spend the whole episode with all the things I could say about it. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Also, another bit of housekeeping. I believe it was last week we were talking about the game Bloodstained, the Koji Igarashi Kickstarter. And although the Kickstarter campaign is over, Yogi, I noticed a particular interest to you. There is a Slacker backer campaign now.
Okay.
And it's
nice.
Yeah, it's at egavania.com/back. So you can definitely check that out, and you can still get in on most of the perks from the Kickstarter. So it's pretty awesome that it's still available to anybody who missed out on that little window. So I don't know. I thought that may be of particular interest to you, and maybe anybody else who's a fan of the Egavania games.
Sweet.
All right. So, with all the housekeeping out of the way, let's move on with the show. So, Chris, tell me what you've been up to.
Oh, man. This week, Steam had a sale for like a lot of the Adult Swim games, so I ended up buying, I think it was Jazz Punk, and I played that. It's a pretty funny game, not really worth paying the full amount for, but I did that. And then the rest of my week was stressing over which 3 wide receivers I was going to play in my fantasy football league.
Boo, fantasy football.
It's Dungeons and Dragons for people that used to beat up kids that play Dungeons and Dragons.
You know what?
Wait,
actually,
I played Dungeons and Dragons.
You know what, Chris? Well, we got a second here. I did want to mention something about the future of this podcast. One of the goals of this podcast is to get big enough with this podcast so that DraftKings will want to do an advertisement spot on our show so that I can basically tell them, eat a dick. So I think they are advertising everywhere. I'm getting sick of hearing about them. I just want to tell them to go fuck off. So if we can get big enough for that to happen, I will be so happy, and I will publicly reject them if I can.
I mean, depends on how much money they're offering.
Hey, all right, yeah, this is true. I got kids, but you know.
Write that check. Sounds good. Let's do this.
Maybe somebody cool like Loot Crate will want to sponsor us. That would be. I'm down with some Loot Crate because that's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
They got a horror block, which is sweet.
See, that's pretty cool stuff. That's the kind of ad sponsorship I would like.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Back to what you were saying.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Stressing over fantasy football, and then watching the game and realizing the two people I benched decided to blow up with like 20 points each. So
That's the
That's
way.
life in fantasy football.
yeah, that's what it's like, man. I was at the top of the league. I don't think so this week. Nope.
Oh, hang in there. You'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Hope not.
That's pretty much it for the week.
Okay. Yogi, so you were on with us last week. What have you been up to?
Other than work, I'm still playing what you refer to as Nickelback, the Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I'm starting to see why as the game goes on. There's some movement issues that I got problems with. But other than that, it's a pretty decent game. I picked up Halo, but, I like to try to finish stuff off before I play something else. And a little bit of Until Dawn, which I've been really enjoying. It's something you can keep going back to.
I get a feeling we're going to be talking about that soon when we get to our topic of the night.
Yeah. But other than that, same old, same old. Took my daughter to a Halloween party tonight, so
nice.
run back quick.
Yeah, so Drew, you weren't here last week, but I basically said that Assassin's Creed is to video games what Nickelback is to rock music. So,
That's a very fair analogy.
Yeah. All right, so Drew, you haven't been on with us in a while. I think you were back in our pre-orders and DLC episode. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been really working on getting my stream up and going, and we finally have everything put together. We just got to do some more just practice ones just to kind of get the routine and everything else done. But that I'll give more information on that later. But I've also been playing some games, which is very new to me. For not actually having time to play the games is more the correction. So, but I'm playing the Dragon Age DLC because I beat the game like that holiday it came out, and I picked up the DLC that shows how the game 2 years later how it ends, which is definitely recommended. It's definitely gives a lot more gameplay to it. And then I picked up Halo 5 this week, and then I picked up the Legend of Zelda game last Friday as well. And they're both sitting sealed until I, finish something to open up to play those games. So. But
Okay.
A lot of stuff.
Ah, good stuff. Glad to hear you're getting some gaming in.
Oh yeah, and beating Chris at fantasy football. That's always plus.
That's bogus, man. That league is terrible.
Oh,
We're all like one game apart. Nobody is dominating. It's great.
Man, we have already bogeyed for our mentions of fantasy football on this episode of the Gamescast. Okay. Well, myself, MGS5 still consumes much of my life. Can't get enough of it. I should be done with it. I can't stop playing it, though. It makes me realize that they just really nailed the gameplay, because there's nothing frustrating about actually trying to play the game. The frustrations come in other ways, but not from actually trying to play. Picked up Mario Maker. That game is super cool and super stupid all at the same time. Having to wait for deliveries of the parts I need to build levels is just terrible. It's a horrible idea, and it's based on the calendar, so I just gotta wait and wait. And I can go manipulate the calendar, but the Wii U is so slow and pondering that it's not worth taking the time to do it. So in about 2 weeks, Mario Maker might be fun. And just for shits and giggles today, I threw in Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube.
Love that one.
I went back to play that just to kind of see how it held up. And man, they got to remaster that game. They really have to, because it's such a gem, but it has not held up well. Like, we have figured out how to do third-person shooters a lot better since that game came out, and that could really use a nice polish.
I just bought that one on Steam.
Yeah, it looks amazing on PC, but I think are you more talking about the mechanics to it, like making it more like the more recent Resident Evils where they've had the moving and shooting engine in.
Yeah, it's a little clunky. The controls could be a little better. Just a little modernizing of it would be good. You don't really have to change the gameplay at all. That's all solid and works. Just spruce it up a bit.
Yeah, because the PC one is like 1080p, 60 frames per second. I thought it looked amazing on there, but no, I haven't played. I should play through that game right during Halloween tomorrow. That sounds like a perfect time to play.
Yeah, it was fun to go back and use the Chicago typewriter to tear some fools up, though. Yeah, so there was that. I played a little bit of The Last of Us, trying to get that Halloween vibe going, and that game, man, it messes me up every time I play it. Just when I mention the game, I kind of get that feeling inside, just something bad has happened, and that says a lot about what made that game so special. It really leaves an impact on you.
Well, that opening sequence is just amazing. Like when you're trying to get away.
Oh, geez, yeah. I don't think Drew or Chris have played it.
Okay.
So,
I won't get into too much detail, but I mean that's just that. I mean, I don't think I've played another game that's done something like that horror-wise.
The part where they blow your dick up is just so messed up.
Yeah, that is pretty bad.
What?
Sorry for the spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Ass-eating zombies are pretty bad too.
Now, they might have believed me. You took it to the place where they know we're messing with them now.
Technically, you live, but you live in shame after that.
Yeah. They just make GIFs about you that go all over the internet.
Exactly. Two zombies, one cup.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Are these troll zombies or?
Troll zombies, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Drew, you are a Resident Evil 4 guy, right? That was one of your core 4 when you came on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you haven't played The Last of Us, though?
I've actually played through 3/4 of The Last of Us, and I have this really bad problem of I'll play through a game and I'll get really far in it, and then something else will come out and I will stop playing it, and I don't know how I could, because for what I really loved what I played of the game, and then B, everyone was telling me that the ending is just ridiculously awesome. So, and it's not even that long of a game either, so it's just no real reason why I didn't finish it, but just something else came out at the time, so.
Understood. Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't able to stick with it, but, things happen. Gamers can have the attention span of a cat.
Wow, that's mean. I could play 4 different games and just play them all.
What's that?
Well, my little brother, he liked Resident Evil 4 a lot, but he hadn't played The Last of Us, and he wasn't really interested in playing The Last of Us. He thought I was overhyping the game, and I told him, I said, The Last of Us is Resident Evil 4, except you actually give a damn about the story and the characters. They're not just cartoons. And that was the statement that got him to actually play it. And after he beat it, I said, so was I right? And he said, yes, you are. He said, I actually cared about those characters and what was happening to them. So, I don't know. Would you agree with that assessment, Drew, or would you...
Yeah, I would agree with that from what
Okay.
when I played it. With Resident Evil 4, I liked I really was a big fan of the witty dialogue and just the interaction between a lot of the characters. Yeah, it was a little bit more just really goofy at some times, but I don't know, I really liked it.
Yeah, Leon has a lot of that sarcastic dialogue in RE4.
And it's so crazy to see him in 6, where he's just he goes from that carefree jokester guy to just always serious in that game. That was just total 180 for me.
It's funny you bring up 6. Because I haven't heard anyone talk about 6 ever. I didn't know it was released.
Because nobody knew it even came out.
Yeah, you told me this 3 weeks ago. I'm like, what? There was a 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a midnight for it. It definitely was not very... It was really hard to play unless you really played it co-op with someone. Even then, there was parts where it was just so glitchy and just almost unbeatable.
Is that the one in Africa? I'm sorry.
No,
That's
That's 5.
Oh, okay.
6 takes place just like they did a thing where they have 3 different story plots and they intertwine, but you don't play them at the same. Like you play through Leon's story and then you play through Chris's story, which goes through parts of Leon's story. You play some parts like 3 times or even 4 times if you unlock like Ada's stuff. But it just, I don't know. They definitely went away from the horror roots, and if you guys look up trailers to it, there's a part where you're trying to like turn the key on for your car, and they make you do all this random like, they took the QuickTime events to a whole ridiculous level.
Oh, see, I hate those things. I'm like, just make a cool cinematic. Like, why are you putting this like roadblock in between me and enjoying the game?
I liked it in 4, but I definitely thought like the more they did it, the more they just were like, this is a great idea. Let's just jam pack the whole game with it. It just got a little too ridiculous.
Okay.
To me, they seem that like the Resident Evils, I would say, a little bit during 4, but also after 4, they weren't as horror, like it was much on horror as they were like anime to me. And that's when I kind of lost it for the Resident Evils. They went like, I don't know, it felt like a cartoon more than
5. Wasn't that the big complaint everybody had, that it became too much of an action game?
Yeah, it's
Even parts of 4, people, a lot of like the hardcore Resident Evil fans, like the really hardcore ones, didn't like, they liked 4, but they definitely just felt like it was almost like a different franchise.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't know who would fight to keep tank controls.
The zombies with puzzles always freak me out. Because that means they're smarter than I am, and I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So that was my week. And since we kind of already brought up the topic of Core 4, Chris, since both our guests have already given us their Core 4 in the past, why don't we give a little bit of our Core 4s again?
Sounds good to me.
So why don't you hit us up with another one of your Core 4? We went over 2 before, right?
Yeah, it was Skyrim and SimCities 4.
Okay, so what do you got for us tonight?
Tonight I have Final Fantasy 8.
Oh.
Yes.
One of the highly debated, very mercurial games in the series.
Still don't understand why people hate, or I wouldn't say hate, but they didn't like it as much as they like 7. Like 7's a great game, but maybe it's 8. I have more nostalgic moments with it. I got the demo on one of the, I think it was like PlayStation Magazine or something. It was one of the discs that had a bunch of demos on it. And I remember playing the Final Fantasy VIII demo over and over and over again until I could actually purchase the actual game. And so I just remember playing. It's the mission. Oh, let's see. It's the one where you dock. It seems like a D-Day thing. You go and you run through the city. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the Dalit mission.
Yes, Dalit. That's it. You go through there and you fight. You go through that whole sequence, and then it ends right after the boss fight. And you're sitting there. You're like, well, shit. What the hell happened? Who am I? What is this story? And I just kept playing it over and over again until I got the game. And then when I played the game, I was like, this is a lot better. This is great. The story was great. I'm still not sure about the art and everybody having these like 10-foot long legs and the 2-foot torsos. But
yeah, a bit weird.
A little weird. But I enjoyed it so much. The summons, the summons, the whole
triad, maybe.
That's fun and stuff.
No, Triple Triad is fucking incredible.
Oh man, it was just a fun game to play through, and I think we mentioned it was the last episode or the episode before.
Yeah, I think I went off on a tangent about how much I hate the card game in Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, that was a remastered episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. That really burned me up after making that great card game and then making that shit ass one.
I will say the characters were a little. They weren't the best characters. I really didn't like the main one. I didn't like Squall too much. He seemed like an angsty guy.
They made him too much of an asshole.
Yeah, it wasn't. wasn't that great, but Cypher and his issues was great.
Yeah, he didn't get enough screen time. He was actually a pretty interesting character, much more complex than he seemed.
And it was great. Zell was great, and then Irvin was just a badass. So I mean, it was a good game. I enjoyed it a lot, and I always go back to that one.
And Quistis was hot as shit.
Yeah, they really made her look really hot, and she's
I'm a sucker for a girl with glasses, even if it's digital.
Hey Jim,
what do you got, Yogi?
No, just when you guys can I throw a couple of my horror favorites in when you guys are done?
Oh yeah, we're knocking out some of the core 4 right here from me and Chris. We fill it in on the episodes when our guests don't have a core 4. We're gonna get to the horror games in a minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't want to rush, but I do have that's a whole different genre for me, man. I love a lot of those games.
I know, man. That's why we wanted you on here tonight. So,
I'm all hopped up on sugar, man. I was at like a little kid's Halloween party.
Oh man. All right, hang in there. We'll get to it. Yeah, no, I can't argue with Final Fantasy VIII. Not at all.
Great.
Okay, so this one, out of my core 4 now, this one you'll like, Yogi. And in honor of Halloween, it just fits perfectly, but I'm going with Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Awesome. That is definitely a very good one.
That game just blew my mind when I got to sit down and play it.
Well, it took one of the worst decisions in the Castlevania thing, one of the first of the worst decisions, which was Alucard, which everybody's like, well, Dracula spelled backwards when, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it first came out with him, and it actually made him a character that you like.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So cool.
And you love playing, you know. He just wasn't something other than a Belmont. So I definitely enjoyed that.
Exploring that castle was just fantastic. It was so great.
That and the other cool part is, like, I don't know, maybe some people find it insignificant, is you could beat it right away. If you beat it with Belmont, that was the end of the game. That was like another, you know, it was like an alternate ending right off the bat. It was very hard to do, but it was definitely cool.
Yeah, and let's be careful with the spoilers because I have been pounding Chris to play this damn game.
Okay.
He doesn't. I don't know if he knows about the biggest spoiler in that game. So.
Nope.
Yeah,
Chris, dude, you're behind, man.
Yeah, I'm still behind, man.
And I'm not going to tell him about it because if he can experience it on his own the way me and you both did, that would be great. You know. But yeah, I mean, exploring the castle, all the different equipment. Like, I loved when I was playing and I realized there were equipment slots.
Yeah.
And experience and leveling up. I was like, this is Castlevania, right? Like, what is going on here? You know? And then the first time, and you'll probably remember this, Yogi, the first time you accidentally casted a spell.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, wait, what just happened? And then you check the menu, and it's like if you do like certain maneuvers that you would do in, say, a fighting game, you know, like half circle attack.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like down diagonal forward attack. You'll trigger off like spells and special abilities and stuff.
There's just so much to that game, more than when you know what I mean, than they initially tell you and you initially know, just the different things you can do.
Yeah.
It's all around a good game. I mean, the familiar stuff and all that was just all amazing.
Yeah. Or the first time you find bat form, and you're like, wait, what? I can turn into a bat?
Exactly.
No, wait, you get Well, you get the wolf first, but he sucks.
Yeah.
No, you get the mist, actually, is the first one you get that's kind of like, you know. Although you get the mist, and you know you're going to get it because you find some of them grates that are like only mist could pass, and you kind of get the sense that that's going to happen. The bat form, there's really no hint you're going to get it. You just get it at one point, and it's like, oh, now I can get everywhere.
And if you just think of like the massive map that game has,
it is huge
for that system at that time. It's just awesome. I just remember plenty of like going into dawn, playing that.
Yeah. I'll also mention it has one of my favorite soundtracks of all time in a game. It just just beautiful music, and it also has some of the worst voice acting of all time. So if you want to like some great music and a comedy show, it's a great game for that. Yeah. So anybody who hasn't played it, you're just killing yourself by not, because it's not an overly long game if you don't want it to be. You know, if you like the old Metroid games, it's right up your alley. And it's aged pretty well since it was 2D, unlike most PlayStation games.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they just did a isn't it on that live? I think, or it was. I think I had it on my 360.
Yes, it is. It is on the 360. It's on the PS3. I actually just played it and beat it again earlier this year on my PlayStation Vita. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's great to be able to take that game on the road with you.
Yeah, it's an awesome game.
Yeah. All right, Chris. So I got nothing else to say about that, and I think we should save the last two of our core four for another night.
All right, sounds good to me.
Because we got a lot to talk about horror games, and I think we should really get moving along to that.
All right.
So horror games. I guess I'll go around first and just ask everybody. Chris, you a horror games fan?
It depends. Like, I'm a horror survival fan. I don't like just plain old horror games where it's like, shock value, here. It's like, I'm not really a fan of that.
Okay.
A game that actually, it's a little more on the survival aspect I really enjoy.
Drew, survival game fan?
Yes. Very, probably one of my favorite franchises.
I figured with Resident Evil 4 being in your core 4, I had a feeling you'd be a horror game fan. And Yogi, I don't need to ask you, but I have to ask you for everybody who's watching and listening. Horror game fan?
Definitely, man. Definitely. I bought some real crap over the years, just trying out anything horror.
It happens. I bought some bad RPGs, so don't feel bad. Okay. Well, let's see. I had a couple of franchises I kind of put down that I really wanted to touch on. So we'll go through these, and then I'll go around to you guys and see if you have anything to add to this list. So the first one that came to mind for me, Castlevania. Goes all the way back to the old school NES. The original game was so hard that I think a lot of kids quit gaming because of it. So then you had Castlevania 2, you had Simon's Quest, very different take.
Yep.
Then you had Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, which went back to the way the first game was. And that's where we saw Alucard for the first time. And then the series kind of meanders along. We get Symphony of the Night. And then we got one Castlevania game I got to mention while we're talking about it. Castlevania 64.
Oh, I love that too. That was awesome.
It was such a disappointment coming off of Symphony of the Night, but what it did do well was it had a real creepy atmosphere to it.
Definitely. I mean, anything compared to Symphony of the Night in that series, I mean, is probably going to lose. Just because, there's some crossover. Even people that didn't normally like those types of games played that. But yeah, I think you're right. The atmosphere was different. I loved the one on the 64 because it was something where, again, I always like when they try to push a little bit, and that was something they were trying to push the 64 a little bit. And I really enjoyed that. I think that actually I played that mostly over your house.
It's quite possible you did.
Because you're like, check this out, and I'm like, oh, thanks for the controller.
Oh man, sounds about right.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that game. I even enjoyed not the most recent one, but the reboot, the one that Patrick Stewart had on. He was a voice on there.
Okay.
With the werewolf chases and stuff like that. That was really cool.
Yeah, I know the first one. What was that? Is that Lords of Shadow?
Yes.
Yeah, the first one I heard was really good. I didn't get a chance to play it, and I did want to. And then I heard the second one was really bad.
Yeah, I didn't play the second one, but the first one was, I mean, just enjoyable.
Yeah, guys, Chris, Drew, fans of Castlevania games, anything?
I have not played any of the Castlevania games besides the 5 minutes of Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, I think that's actually the same for me. I got 3 codes for Symphony of the Night, and I own probably 90% of the Castlevania games, but haven't touched them. I've heard
Okay.
amazing things about all of them.
Okay, well, hey, you can't play every series. So.
Nah.
I think most of us got hooked on it in the NES era.
I think that's what happens. I think a lot of the people that have played are fans from the beginning.
Yeah.
I
I am curious. I never met anybody, but I imagine with the popularity of Symphony of the Night that maybe a lot of people jumped in there too. And then jumped right back out because the series couldn't equal that. That's a high bar to keep up with, though. Okay, so Castlevania, I love it. There's a lot of great ones in there. Symphony of the Night obviously being far and away my favorite, but you know, other ones, Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, Simon's Quest, Dracula's Curse, all games I really like to go back and play. So moving on from there, the next series that came to mind for me, Resident Evil. So,
all right.
Now my Resident Evil's a little weird because I started with Code Veronica on the Dreamcast.
Interesting.
Yeah, I missed it completely on PlayStation. So I started with Code Veronica. Then I came back and played Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube when they remade it.
Yeah.
Then I played 0. And then I played 4. And I have not played that series since. There hasn't been a game since 4 I cared about. I was interested in 5 until I started hearing all the bad stuff about it. And I actually do own it, but I've never played it.
I'd say it's really good co-op, but other than that, yeah, it's more of an action game. I mean, I played through it, you know, co-op and single, but it's a lot more fun playing it with co-op.
Well, that was kind of the trend at that time in games. Everything was like the dude buddy shooters.
Yeah.
Like everything was like it's you and your partner. So it was kind of a wave sweeping over games then. Kind of like open world is now.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the first and second one. And I also liked the fourth one just because it was something a little bit different. But like I think it was said earlier, it went a lot towards the action. And then I couldn't really get with it. And I mean, there's a couple elements that just kind of get old for me. Like I never get games where like you got to combine stuff to make stuff. It's not as bad in the Resident Evil series as some later games. But I think the first one that had me jumping the most when I was playing it was probably the very first one.
Yeah.
Just straight horror, survival, creepy for the PlayStation. The eerie feel, stuff would jump through the window every once in a while.
I am still terrified of Lisa Trevor. Oh my god. That bitch is creepy.
I remember like the original game and like the moments the dog jumped through the window. I mean, it still gives me goosebumps. I know it's not as scary that I know that scene's gonna come, but then there's another part where you grab ammo and a zombie's in the closet. And I know they did that one in the remake pretty decently, but just the original nostalgia is just crazy in the original game.
I definitely the original was my favorite. And then there was for the Resident Evil fans, I just want to throw something out there. Have you ever played The Thing?
No.
It was the sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing. And it was essentially a Resident Evil game. There was a little bit more choices. You could do things for you. Like, you had to earn everybody's trust because everybody has this, like, weird field. Have you seen John Carpenter's The Thing? Like, the alien inhibits people's bodies and you don't know who's who?
No, I've not seen that.
And so people don't trust you, and you can pull a gun on them and make them do stuff. Like, there's a lot of different character mechanics, but it was essentially a Resident Evil game. but just with the backdrop of the thing, basically it takes place after the movie when the rescue crew comes in. I mean, there's environmental stuff, like if you're out too long because you're in the Arctic, you can start to freeze or stuff jumping out of you. Like animals, like the alien burst out of the animals and they become these grotesque monsters. It was very well done.
I'll have to check that one out.
I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, if you're a Resident Evil fan, I think it was on the first Xbox. You can probably find it on PC now. You can do that with most of the stuff.
Interesting.
I never actually started Resident Evil until 3. I've never even played the first and second one. I think I got
a strange path to take.
Yeah, I started with Nemesis, and then I didn't even know about the Resident Evil franchise, and then I got 3, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. What are the other 2? But I still haven't played them. Like, I attempted to buy the first one for PC. They got a remastered one on Steam on sale.
Yeah.
And tempted to buy that. But, I started with 3. I played 4, like, way late on Wii. And then I got 5 from Drew and played that one. And I do see the difference with how they went straight into action. There's not much of a survival aspect on the 5th one, but it was still fun to play.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, I never played 3, so I can't say. I always heard 2 was the one I should have played. And I was always hoping they would do a remaster of it like the first one. That was what I was always waiting for.
Yeah, I think almost every Resident Evil fan, like core, like that game would sell like hotcakes. I remember looking up YouTube and like someone did like a really cool like a mod that I was watching like the first part of the game, and they actually did like the newer type graphics and the new engine into that game, and I thought they were trying to work on something, but I think it fell through.
Well, hopefully they'll get around to it. I would definitely love if they'd redo that one because I've been told it's good, and I'd love if they'd redo 4 because I'd love to play that again on a console in high quality HD.
2 was the double disc one, wasn't it?
It wasn't. I know it was something to the effect of like you get to pick who to play as, and it changes how the game plays.
I think the one disc was one character.
Yeah, I think one is Leon and one is Jill.
Yeah, something like that. But it's been a while. But yeah, that was a pretty. That's when like I kind of fell out with the series after that. But that was a real good one too.
Yeah, Leon and Claire from that one.
There you go.
Oh, okay, Claire. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Resident Evil, good series. The next one I put down is a bit of an obscure one, but I had to make sure we talked about it. Eternal Darkness.
Ooh.
What was that?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
You don't know Eternal Darkness?
No, I say ooh as in yes, that one's really good.
Okay, so you know it. Chris, you sound like you don't know what Eternal Darkness is.
Heard of it, never played it.
Oh, man. Okay, Yogi, Eternal Darkness. Did you play that one on GameCube?
Again, I think it's another one that you're like, hey, yo, check this out, and I was at your house.
Okay.
And I picked it up as a rental. You know, back in the day we could rent games.
Yeah.
Kind of miss those days.
If you tell me the story, I can almost guarantee that I played it.
Oh,
like a little bit of a synopsis.
Jeez, I don't really remember the story great. It's been so long. But basically, you were this chick, and you had inherited this like mansion from your family, and you started going reliving all these stories of past members of your lineage.
Okay.
And you would go through their like little episodes, and the key feature of the game was that there was a sanity bar, and as you encountered like enemies and had stress, the sanity bar would drop, and if it got too low, crazy shit would start happening to your character.
I think I beat that game.
Yeah, you would start like walking along, and then just all of a sudden just like get decapitated for no reason, you know, or the game would make you think it had shut off.
I kind of like remember magic stones somewhere in that game or something like that.
Yeah, there was something like that. Like you would have to pick one when you started the game. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you beat the game by collecting all 3, then you could do like a 4th thing, and it was kind of trippy where the game went in the end, but the individual episodes were really the draw.
Yeah, I can kind of remember that. Yeah, I do remember that because I actually really enjoyed that game. It was like you said, it was trippy because you would go insane and stuff would just kill you, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a fun game to just mess around and intentionally try to like lose your sanity just to see what would happen next, you know.
Yeah.
So I loved that game. The only thing I hated was that the development for it started on the N64, and they transferred over to the GameCube, and it got stuck with the garbage N64 graphics. They didn't rebuild the engine. They just basically ported it to GameCube. And I only wish it had been started on GameCube, and it would have had better graphics then.
Yeah.
So, Drew, you sounded like you were familiar with the game. You got anything to say about it?
I guess covered most of the bases. I just like you said, it was a very fun game to like, when you were done playing the story, play through and just die crazy ways with the insanity bar. I don't know. I liked that game. Like like you said, the graphics were kind of a hindrance, but the gameplay was ridiculous. Very, I don't know. It seemed like ahead of its time for sanity bar and things like that.
I love that sanity bar feature. That was great.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't make another one. I mean, I guess it wasn't super popular. It was more like a cult classic kind of.
Yeah, I don't think it did well enough, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That did kind of start a trend because there was a few games after that used like a sanity meter. Of course, they were all cult classic kind of stuff, like small following. Cthulhu did it, and it's just a really cool feature because it's realistic. You know what I mean? Like you're going to go through something horrifying. You know what I mean? Who might not lose their shit at some point in time?
Yeah.
And they added an extra thing in the game, and the weird deaths. I just remember like the first time it happened, I was like, "What the hell? I didn't even do anything wrong." But you just went insane. Yeah. So I'm starting to remember that game, and I did enjoy that. I think I started with you, and then I rented the game, and it was cheap at Electronic Boutique when that was still around, and I picked it up there.
Yeah, that wasn't the longest game either. You could beat it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I liked that game. That one always, I remembered that. That sanity bar feature was fun. I liked the episodic gameplay, too.
Yeah.
The next one I was thinking of, and this is one I haven't played, but I had to bring up because it was just so strange, the Fatal Frame series. Did any of you gentlemen play that?
Is that the camera one?
Yes, that's the camera one.
That game is creepy as hell the first time I played it. That's the one where you see is that the one where you see the ghost through the camera?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I think I peed a little the first time I played that one.
Oh, that good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, because it was just like, I was like, what is this? This is so lame. And I look in the camera, I'm like, oh my god. And you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, I never played it. And I remember, like, reading about it. And, like, you see ghosts through a camera. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like,
and then you gotta capture their soul by taking pictures of them.
I was just curious if any of you had ever played any of them games. I unfortunately did not.
I did not play that.
Or would you be interested in a game where you take pictures of ghosts with a camera?
I'm already interested in it. It sounds weird.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's like the Japanese horror story. Like she goes in looking for her missing sister. If I remember correctly, and it's very. It reminds me of that movie Shudder.
Oh, okay.
And it's very trippy.
Okay, Drew, Fatal Frame?
Yeah, I've played the first one, and I own the second and third one. And I remember when Chris told me about the survival horror, like this podcast, I was like, oh, that's like I heard that they made a new Fatal Frame for the Wii U. That's like a download only. That you use before. But yeah, that game freaked me out. Like even when I watched like the trailer before I actually bought the games, just piqued my interest. But it's so unique with like the atmosphere that it creates while you play the game. It's definitely one that you should play through.
And it's different. You know what I mean? It's not like your normal I gotta find ammo. I'm low on health, kind of thing. It's hard. It's really hard to explain unless you actually play it.
Yeah.
But it's very trippy.
Well, I do appreciate different. I like when developers try new things.
Like Typing Dead.
Oh God, the typing of the dead.
Yeah. That was made before fun.
Good old Mavis Beacon. Yeah.
Mavis
Okay.
Beacon. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I got one left on my list here that I had to bring up, and we already talked about it a little bit, but that's The Last of Us. And I presume this is going to be a series now. I can't imagine after the runaway success of the game that they're going to not make a sequel. Whether or not it's a true sequel or just a spiritual sequel, I don't know.
I thought didn't they announce one not too long ago?
No, but there's a lot of like kind of speculation that that's what Naughty Dog's going to work on after Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I would definitely love to see something like that. I mean, I know they remastered it, but I'd like to see something that's made for, like the PS4, and just see how far they can push that.
Yes. I'd also, I don't know, I definitely think, like, what happened in them 20 years, Joel? Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of space in there to tell a story. So if they want to use that character, again, I'm down. If they just want to do something else in that world, I'm good with that, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of places they can go. The way they left it is almost like
they left it open if that's where you're going. Yeah.
There's a lot of stories you can do. It's almost like a Walking Dead. I didn't want to say it, but like in the sense that
they didn't save the world at the end, so
yeah,
like that. It's not like the problems of the world have been resolved. So
and also another person's story could be just as interesting.
Yes.
Okay, I kind of like the way that sounds. It's not you're the hero. It's just you're just trying to survive.
Pretty much. I mean, that's kind of what the whole world is.
That's nice.
Everybody's just trying to survive, and the game kind of fits that mold.
I like that.
Throughout. One of the things I had to say about The Last of Us, though, was it has this unique ability that as you play, there's kind of like only 3 different types of enemies you fight between humans, runners, and clickers. And there's a few other variations, but that's the bulk of what you fight against. And what I find interesting is that when I'm dealing with clickers, I'm terrified. Because I'm like, if one hit and I'm dead, it's game over. And I'm like, okay, I got to be really careful, and I get really nervous, and like my anxiety levels go up greatly. And then when I get to fight runners, I'm like, oh, thank God, it's not a one-hit kill. And then I'm fighting them, and I'm like, God damn it, I wish they were blind like clickers. These things are really annoying.
Yeah.
And then when I fight humans, I'm like, okay, thank God, I'm fighting humans. No more of this, like, supernatural bullshit. And then they start shooting me. And I'm like, God damn it, I wish I was fighting runners right now. These guns are annoying. So no matter what you fight, they always have something that like makes you wish you were fighting something else instead. It's just such beautiful execution in the combat.
Man, I really got to get this.
Yeah,
well, I guess first I need to get a PS4.
Yeah, you're really doing life wrong, man.
You try to I went PC because everything's a lot cheaper, or I could buy games for cheaper. Like that tell you when I got the Phantom Pain on release day, I found one Steam key for $42.
Yep.
I was like, that's great. I don't even have to worry about paying a full $60. I like that. And I don't know if it was anywhere else, but yeah, I could get that PC on a lot of different items. So that's why I've been kind of hesitant on the PS4 consoles, and yeah. But I'll get it. Definitely going to get it.
Okay. Yeah, definitely do, man. It lives up to the hype. Yogi, anything else you want to add to The Last of Us?
Awesome game. It was like the first game I got on my PS4 because I heard so much about it. And I had to. It's weird because I had to stop because I brought my PS4 as a Blu-ray player down on vacation, and the game was a download, so it was there, and I started playing it, and I started to realize that there was like very little family time unless I put down a controller. I like that, like there's so many aspects of it. Like I don't want to give too much away, but like there's this overall fear of the people, but also they've learned to live with certain things, and certain protections that like their form of government has in place. They work around. It's very like even in the very I don't want to give too much away if they haven't played. It's just such a good game.
It really makes you think though about the world, like if something like that were to happen.
Yeah.
Even just the whole little angle with like the cordyceps fungus mutation.
Yeah.
It's like shit. I hope that can't really happen. Drew, having played like 3/4 of the game, you got anything you want to add about it?
I don't know. Any of you guys played both the game and the remake, or just the remaster?
I only played the remaster. I missed
me
it
too.
because it was so late in the PS3 life cycle.
Yeah, I think that's also. I think that's what did it to me. I played through half the PS3 one, and then by the time I got that far, because I procrastinated my games, the PS4 one came out, and then I played it. I started over again. It looks amazing. Like definitely, I wish they would do a lot more games like that, where they remaster it like that. But I guess they're starting to do that more with like Uncharted and everything.
Yeah, that was a good remaster. I really like that because most of the time when they remaster a game, it's almost like slapping lipstick on a pig to me. You know what I mean? Still pig at the end. But like that was a really I didn't see it on the PS3, but it looked so good on the PS4 that I would have swore it was a PS4 game.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. So that really does it for everything that I had thought to write down. I wasn't really trying to be comprehensive. These were just the things that came to mind. Chris,
Yep.
So any horror games that we didn't mention that you think we need to talk about?
Dead Space.
Dead Space.
Yes. So
How did I forget Dead Space?
Dead Space is an excellent game.
Yes, it is.
I like when you hit the vacuum of space in any of those games is my favorite. Just dead silence. Oh.
I think Drew's the one who introduced me to that one.
Yeah.
It's such a great game.
Launched a comic book series of cartoons, everything.
Wait. There's a comic book series?
Yeah, the original game had a comic book series and the second release, and now it's almost like Silent Hill. I think IDW does it. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But like they keep coming back to it. I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 series now. But that and the Silent Hill comics are just phenomenal.
I gotta check those out.
Yeah.
Didn't even know they had comics for that.
Yeah, they were pretty good because they did it specifically before the release of the first one to kind of get people into it, and it worked.
Yeah, I honestly, all I remember from that game, like, besides the creepy as hell ending and, well, really all the creepy stuff in that game, that saw blade gun. I don't remember the name of it, but that thing was amazing.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
I think all the weapons were unique, and I like the fact that a lot of them weren't weapons; they were just supposedly engineering tools for a space mining colony that were like makeshift weapons with their original thought process, and I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's always the best. I really enjoy when the weapons aren't your everyday average weapons; they're unique to that setting.
Yeah, I mean it's always weird when you come across something like an RPG in like a zombie game out of nowhere in the middle of a town.
Dead Island.
Yeah, or somebody duct tapes like a chainsaw to the end of a broomstick and it's supposed to be durable enough to hit zombies with. I never really understood that, but those were really unique to the game. They were believable. They need like rock cutters and all that stuff. The whole like occult kind of thing going on, like it's this cult of people that follow this, and it's just creepy. The movies are so good. They're just the cartoons are just eerie as anything.
I have to check those. I didn't even know there was more to that.
I think they got them on Netflix.
Oh, really now?
Yeah, they had them. I don't know if they still do, but I'm pretty sure they have at least one of them.
Huh. Well, I think I figured out what I'm doing tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Drew, anything to add about Dead Space?
I don't know. One of my favorite things about that game, like you like a lot of games, they do a good job of like you look at a dead body on the floor or like wherever, and you're like, I think that body's gonna get up, and you walk, and a lot of times it doesn't. But that game, just you're looking at it, you're walking over it while you're looking at it. You turn around, you're still looking at it, and then you turn around, and then it just pops up. Like it just knows what you're doing. I just thought that was great. I think the guy got his own studio after that game just for how, how great he did on that one. It was probably one of the more fresh horror games, such a unique, like in space. Like I'd hardly seen anything even close to it.
No, I would agree, and it did remind me of something when you said that. I forgot when we were talking about Resident Evil. The thing that creeped me out the most in the remake of Resident Evil was those Crimson Head zombies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was really annoying. Yeah, don't kill enemies because sometime later when you walk by, they're gonna get up and be badass.
Yeah.
Like burn everything. So.
I mean, that's a good thing to keep in your head for everyday life.
Because when you're trapped inside of a mansion, you start setting everything on fire. Logic in video games is a bad idea. All right, Chris, so Dead Space, that was a great one. Anything else you want to add to the list?
Yeah, I mentioned a little bit. Dead Island was, I want to say that was probably my biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
I think it was the trailer release. I was like, oh man.
Oh yeah, that trailer was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had such a good feeling, and then I played it, and I'm like, what in the hell? Like, it wasn't a bad game, but it didn't feel anything like that trailer.
It's a first-person Dead Rising.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And oh man, it disappointed me.
Although I think it's, what is it, Daylight or Dying Light? That one I think is what I expected Dead Island to be, but I really enjoyed that. And it's very similar. It's like that first-person zombie. You're fighting against the clock. You're fighting against these warlords in this country. It's that one's a good one.
Dying Light was oh man, that one's always on sale, and I haven't bought it yet.
Yeah, it's a good one. If you were disappointed with Dead Island, I think you'll like Dying Light.
All right, I'll try to check that out.
Yeah, that game's done pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dead Island was disappointing. That it for your list, Chris? Anything else?
Those are the two that I played most recently. Yeah.
Okay. Drew, you got anything to add to the list?
Yeah, I have one that I'm gonna be shocked if any of you guys have actually heard of it, but there was a game on PS1 called Martian Gothic. It was a crazy zombie game that took place on Mars, and you switch between 3 different characters, and it took like the next one I was gonna bring up is the Silent Hill series. I'll talk about that one after, but it took the whole you find one of the like the puzzles you had to figure out were crazy, and there would be bodies that literally they would be sitting on there and they'd have the key in their hand. Like, this is a PS1 game with crappy graphics. And you go and grab it, and then they would get up. And it made it super challenging because when you shot zombies or killed them, they would always come back up the next time or the second time you went back into that room. And there was a lot of but if you guys haven't ever heard of it, it's an amazing game. Definitely recommend it if you're in for an old school horror game with good puzzles.
And this is a PS1 game?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not even heard of this game.
Same here.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It definitely was very under the radar. I think I was at a Game Crazy, and I was just kind of looking through their discount bin, and I found it. I'm like, what's this game? And they're like, it's a horror game. I'm like, horror game? Sure. So I brought it home, played it, and it was actually pretty good. It was, like there's like one room where the zombie is like suspended in like on wire, and whenever you walk towards him, he'll actually like the wire, like he'll actually push you back, like his hands are restrained or whatever, but like you have to figure out how to get past. I mean, it was crazy for a game like that. So
What was the name of it again?
Martian.
Gothic.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think I remember hearing about that, but I never played it. PS1 just had so many games on it that were just like, wow, this is a game on PS1 I never knew.
Yeah, the reason you never knew is because it came out in 2001 on
Yeah.
PS1.
Wow.
PS2 was already out
Oh
for a
man.
year. November of 2001. I mean, we were all playing Grand Theft Auto 3.
I didn't play it when it first came out, but yeah, it was. I don't know. It's crazy. Good find though. I thought it was superb.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, no, definitely check it out. It's probably pretty. I think I went to, or I ordered another copy of the game, and it wasn't too expensive when I did. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, check that one out. But another game series that I'm surprised we didn't talk about is Silent Hill.
I knew it was going to come up. It just wasn't going to come up by me because I'm not a fan.
Oh, dude. The first Silent Hill I absolutely loved. I agree with you. That's another one that it's spawned its own life form. Two pretty solid horror movies.
Yeah.
Maybe not A+, but definitely a good thing to watch on like a midnight, on like a Friday or Saturday. And then the comic books that it makes is amazing. It's almost like this Tales from the Dark Side, but centering around this town kind of comics. Like everybody who has, needs some kind of judgment or change in life ends up running through Silent Hill. I'm in love with that whole storyline and everything that they come from it.
Whatever happened to the one that they previewed? I want to say a year ago.
Downpour?
I think it was it wasn't Downpour. This one they canceled. They stopped making it. I think.
Oh, Silent Hills PT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they got it with a dispute with the developer, is what I had heard. But
Well, it's kind of all wrapped up into Konami shutdown stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of stuff getting shut down and canceled. A lot of good ideas.
Konami, man.
Yeah, I know, they're killing me.
did anyone have a chance to play the like the demo that came out that they took down almost right away?
No.
No, I didn't know they had it.
Silent Hill 2 left such a bad taste in my mouth I could have cared less.
Well, yeah, it's weird because Silent Hill 1, if I'm remembering correctly, was a dad and his daughter, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they went on like a 2-game spree that was just like, okay, that never really happened. Here's a mom and her daughter. Okay. And then then they did what I think was a really good idea, which is they almost made it like an anthology of different stories of different people, going through this town, and I think that's way better. Because I think Jim's right. Like 2 was almost like we're competing with Resident Evil, so we're going to make a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I played 2, I beat 2, and I just remember thinking, this game sucks. Like, why do people like this series? The only thing that was even scary about it was the fact that the town was, like, friggin' empty.
Dude,
which doesn't make it a fun game.
1 with bad graphics, I may have had to change my underwear a couple times on that one.
I still, to this day, remember you telling me about how creeped out you were by the first one when you were playing through it.
You found a radio, and anytime something demonic was around you, even though you couldn't see it because it was full of mist and smoke, like it would start to buzz and crackle, and you would go into a school, and there's like little kids, and it was horrible.
Kids are the worst in horror games. Horror movies, anything. Oh, man.
They're pretty bad in real life, too, unless they're your own. You know what I mean?
They can be pretty bad even if they are your own.
Yeah, I don't want to say that out loud. She's sitting right next to me.
Yeah, no, I'll put that on record publicly. That's fine. Yeah, but yeah, Silent Hill just, I don't know, that really let me down. I mean, there's something there that appeals to people. It just doesn't get me at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I dug it. It was creepy. Yeah, I mean, I like, but I think the first one combined with the movies and the comics made it much more enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
Than the actual gameplay in the later ones. Although there was one, I think, with the brother that came home from the military. You know what I mean? That was a pretty good one. I can't remember. I think that was Homecoming.
Yep. Homecoming.
That was a good one.
All right, Drew, so let me ask you this. So I'm listening to the Collective Gamescast, and I'm like, oh, these guys are talking about some great games. That's Silent Hill. There's indecision between the four of them on it. Which game should that person start with?
For Silent Hill?
Yeah.
I'd say the first one.
Even now.
Even now, I don't know. Like,
Okay.
you can buy it on the PlayStation the PlayStation Network. It just the first game just really, I don't know, with the puzzles and I don't know. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. I like a lot of the old school games. Sometimes, I mean, I do love a lot of the new stuff, but sometimes I like the original ones that kind of got me into the series over some of the other ones. So.
Definitely.
Okay. I gotta imagine Yogi would agree with you here.
Yeah. You know what was really cool about the first one and really annoying at the same time? There was a puzzle that I got stuck on, and I bought a walkthrough guide, and the walkthrough guide was wrong.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And then it took me forever to get through, and then finally I was just like, you know, all right, I'm just going to go through this and just start cracking away at it, and eventually came through. But I mean, it's eerie, man. It's survival horror done well.
And like, what year is this when you were doing that?
Gee, I don't. That had to be late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, see, and back then the internet was not quite the friend it is today.
It depends what you're looking for.
It's impossible to get stuck in a game anymore because
I mean, if you're looking to download a picture that doesn't move of dirtiness, and you have a good 10, 15 minutes ahead of you.
Oh boy, didn't we go over this last week?
Yeah, but I just want Chris to know what it was like. You know what I mean?
It's just funny when I
man.
try to explain to my son, like, when I was younger, you couldn't just go on YouTube and find somebody how they got through it. Like, you know, you had to really go through the weeds of unoptimized search engines before Google, and, you know, it was difficult to try to track down an answer even once the internet came around.
You usually had to have a friend who beat it, meaning you, and then I would just be like, "Hey Jim, I'm having trouble with this area," but unfortunately, you didn't play many horror.
No, I didn't. If it was Final Fantasy, I could hook you up. If it was horror, I could not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if game FAQs didn't have your answer back in the day, you were screwed.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that was a savior for a long time.
Oh, that has always been the harbor for answers on video games.
Yep.
Okay, so Silent Hills. Drew, you got anything else to add to the list?
I have two that I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I really am looking forward to playing them. They're both for PS2. The first one's called Rule of Rose. It's kind of like you know how you guys were saying kids are creepy, the worst thing in horror games. Well, I think this one takes place in I think the main antagonists are like children are kind of in the house, and it's a super ridiculous story. I know the game has gone up to almost like $170 with the case right now because it's just such an obscure, hard to find one. And I have a copy. I want to play through it, but I haven't had a chance to yet.
Okay, I can't say that I've heard of that one. What's the other one?
And the other one's Haunting Ground, which is more. I think more people have probably heard of it. It's the one with it's like a blonde chick and a dog, and it's. I've just heard so much good things. So many good
Horror
things.
movie, right? Or game, right?
Yeah, it's a horror game. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
I've heard of that, but I've never played it, but I have heard of this one.
Yeah, those are definitely my next two on my horror list.
I've seen the thing with a blind chick and a dog, and it was pretty horrifying.
Oh, Jesus.
Had nothing to do with it.
Don't make me put you on mute, Yogi.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's all I got. So.
All right. Well, all right, Yogi. So you were chomping at the bit to get to this topic, and I made you wait all the way till last to go. So what do you got?
For a series?
For whatever. Game, series, whatever.
I would say
it's mentioned.
What is a fun game right now, and it's cheap, is Zombie Army Trilogy. It's based off of what the hell is that? This one. It's one not Ghost Warrior, but the other sniper game. Sniper, I think it's called. Right, like I'm thinking of it now. I'm pretty sure it's Sniper.
Okay.
And it is Nazi zombies, but it has like the '80s synthesizer music in the background, the creepy mist.
You've already sold the game to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, it takes away a lot. Like if you turn the wrong corner, it takes away a lot of like your sniping ability. You get to pick between 4 characters. One's like a professor of the occult. One's a infantryman. One's a sniper. And I think the last one is like just a normal townsperson. There's like zombie hordes that come after you. It's very like over and over again. It's just a shooter, but it's just fun. It's almost something that I think like if it was a DLC you would enjoy. It is a longer version, I would say, of the Call of Duty zombies, but it's more than just a house or whatever room you're in. It's planned out. I really enjoy that one. It's cheap too. And that's kind of flew under the radar. It came over from the UK. The other one that I like is Until Dawn. That's like my new favorite horror one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, okay. Now, you mentioned this last week, and I told you to save it for this week, so
Yeah.
sell me on why I need to play Until Dawn, because I already really want to play. I just want to hear the sales pitch.
It is a movie. It's almost like an episode form. It has a very good movie feel to it. There's actually like so many faces you'll notice from horror movies, like more recent ones. The mythology is something completely different than you've seen before in any other game, the mythology that they're using. And a lot of those games say, well, you know, your decisions affect and your actions affect how the story ends. And you know, you get maybe 2 or 3 different endings. This one is anybody can die. There's no main character. You're playing 5 or 6 people. Everybody can live. Everybody can die. How they explain, like if you, and its replay is amazing because it changes each time, the story, depending who lives and who dies, and your actions. And then at the very end, how they tell you where you went wrong is cool too. I don't want to ruin that, but it was a very good idea of how they did it. But very like drunk college kids up in the cabin kind of horror movie. It's and I think it's good for the replay. It's a relatively short game, I would say, probably like 4 or 5 hours, but it's done that way because you can constantly go back and play it, and then you can choose different things. And they have something called a butterfly effect, which means if you say something, if you do something, or you take a certain action, that butterfly effect therefore changes the storyline to the game. You know what I mean? Until you hit the next road, and you don't know how. And it's creepy because I'm going to give a little something where you pick up these totems, and these totems show you the glimpses of the future, like maybe a 1 or 2 second snapshot of what may happen, but it doesn't tell you what decisions made to lead it up to that. And it could be who lives, who dies. And then that's always in the back of your mind as you're playing. You're like, okay, well, it showed me this person dies. Is this a decision that I make that makes this person die?
Interesting.
Okay, so I got 2 things for you.
Yeah.
1, I heard that one of the great things about this game is the interpersonal relationships between the characters that occur.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what happens? Give me an example of one that's not too spoilerish.
Okay, boy likes girl, right? There's conversations about this boy liking a girl. It's like one of those things where like they both like each other, but they're not really hooking up. You have conversations with other people. One is kind of like dirty. Yeah, why don't you do this? You know what I mean? How you have the conversation with that person affects it, whether you take the gentleman route or not. How you react with them and how you act with them takes that route or not. It changes how the relationship goes. There's a point where you have to make, I mean, there's decisions like, just like an example, not necessarily in the game, but just to give you an idea, like, do I choose my best friend or the girl I love? In like a Saul type situation.
Oh, damn.
Yikes.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like that, and then there's tidbits of insanity in it. where you think you're talking to somebody who's going to help you, but you don't necessarily know. They're very creepy, you know what I mean? But they seem like somebody who might be able to help you, and they ask you specific questions like, who in this group do you like? Be careful how you answer because it may affect you know what I mean, what's going on and during the game, but be honest, or it'll give you like a Rorschach test. And it says, what do you see here? And how you see it affects what might happen in the game. There's just so much that can dictate the outcome and make it either more difficult or somebody, you know what I mean, or easy for somebody to live. Again, people can be friends, or you can make choices to make them your enemy. There's just so many. It's like a grown person choose your own adventure.
Interesting.
It's really hard to explain, but I mean, and the fact that it's 4 or 5 hours is not a long game. But again, it's made so that you play over and over and make the opposite decision.
Okay, I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's definitely on my to-play list right near the top because I want to play it. But I got to ask you this. I loved Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
Did you play Heavy Rain?
A little bit of it. I didn't get too far into it, but I did play a little bit of it.
Similarities?
Yeah, but I think this does it better, honestly, Jim. I really do.
I'm fine with that.
There's more roads to cross, you know what I mean, and more positive or negative decisions from it, and so many places you can go right or wrong.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, digging it. All right. So what else you got?
If we're talking about something that's like near and dear to my heart, I would have to say any of the Evil Dead games, but specifically the first one on the PS1, which again is another Resident Evil, but it's with Ash. It's taken seriously. It's not like the later Ash, like Army of Darkness, where it's like slapstick comedy mixed with horror. The very first one was taken seriously, and I mean, it's just you start with the cabin, you go through campsites, you're trying to get your way down the mountain, and it's very, very creepy. Have any of the Resident Evil players really gotten into that or heard of it?
No, I haven't played it. I've heard of it. I think I have one of the one of the Joker ones, but I definitely, from what you said, I want to play that first one.
Yeah, that first one. I mean, it reminds me so much of the first Resident Evil with that Ash kind of background, with that Evil Dead kind of background. Very Sam Raimi. I think he actually had part in that too.
Yeah, I remember. I think you and Frank playing those back in the day, but I just never got around to them.
Yeah.
I was probably doing like my A3 replay of Final Fantasy VIII or something.
I got one for you, Jim. Legacy of Kain.
Oh yeah.
Never got to that, man.
No.
Looked pretty cool though. I just never did get to it.
Very good. I mean, the first one was absolutely my favorite. Getting your vampiric powers, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that one, and the ones that came later were also pretty good. But that first one was, I mean, even the cinematics in it were amazing for the time.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm trying to decide if I ever played the first one.
It's actually with Kain itself.
Yeah, I think the first one a lot of people missed, and I think it got popular, and then I think a lot of people played Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver is the one I remember the most.
That was a PS1 game, and the original Legacy Kain was PC, I think only. I don't even know if it made it to PS1 even later.
Really?
I thought it did.
It would have to be really like years after the first one came out, because I remember playing that one early on.
I remember, I think Soul Reaver was on Dreamcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I had it for both PlayStation and Dreamcast. But, yeah, man, that was a fun game.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And then last, I'll give you one more. Dante's Inferno. Anybody play that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that, and I enjoyed it.
Short game, very good game. The circles they did choose were pretty accurate to the original poetry, and also an awesome set of comics and movie.
I haven't seen the movie yet.
Good cartoon movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Okay, I got to jump in here for a second, fellas, because there's a couple of very, very interesting things about Blood Omen Legacy of Kain here.
Okay.
All right.
First off, you're going to be surprised by this, Yogi. It came out on PlayStation before PC.
Did it?
Yeah, November 96 on PlayStation. And it came out August of 97 for PC. And it was made by Silicon Knights, the guys who later on went to make Eternal Darkness.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So, yeah, very surprised.
Right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the that's your Blood Omen Legacy of Kain information right there.
You can cheat on PC though. I'm just throwing it out there.
You guys, have anyone played the Amnesia games?
No, I've heard they're good though.
No, I'm thinking. I think I'm thinking of Blue Indigo. But no, I don't think I played the Amnesia ones.
I just got one for free like a couple months ago. I still haven't played it yet. But I've seen good reviews. Just hoping I'd get a first-hand from some people on the show. But I guess that failed, huh?
All right, man. play and tell us about it. I'd like to hear about it.
Definitely going to do that, yeah.
Anyone do a Jericho on the 360, Clive Barker?
No.
Oh,
I thought that was a good first-person shooter. Very underrated. Went cheap right away. Clive Barker wrote it. One of my favorite horror writers.
When did that come out?
It had. I don't know if it was. Oh, jeez.
I was just curious because I didn't even hear of it. So.
See, I got it right before the Elite, so it had to come out right before the Elite was released. And it's weird in the sense that everybody has like this tainted power, and they're part of this special ops team that goes in and deals with like cults when they actually go at all hell breaking loose. It's very like the world is very Hellraiser-y. There's like a blood mage in it. There's a guy with like a cursed hand that he has to keep this special. You would look probably like this. He has to keep this special casing over, and once he opens it up, his special thing is it releases a demon. And then there's a guy that can just transfer bodies and use any of the people on the team, which is how you switch back and forth. It's really good. I mean, for a shooter, there's some pretty big jumping moments in it, but completely flew under the radar and went cheap really quick.
Yeah, it was 2007 it came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay, that was an interesting one. I don't think nobody here played it.
no, I have not.
Yeah. It was also developed by Mercury's team, the guys who made Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Nice.
Yeah, we're finding all kinds of connections. Yeah. All right, anything else you want to add to the horror games, Yogi?
How about The Suffering? Anybody play The Suffering? I can go on all night, so you're going to have to shut me up.
Okay, I guess we got to shut you down at some point.
The Suffering,
I do remember hearing about that one. That one seemed pretty messed up.
that was another, it was like you went to prison, and how you played the game determined whether you deserve to go to prison or not. But, I mean, that had huge moments. I mean, there was a executioner you had to fight that can turn himself into mist in a gas chamber.
Oh,
And you had to
wow.
figure out how to trap them. Like, stuff would, like, be, like, there would be demons walking around with, like, on their fingers would be, like, the lethal injection and stuff. And there was a lot of, you're looking down the hall, and something darts across the hall. It's horrifying looking. And you never know if you're going to turn that corner and it's actually there or it's in your head.
Hmm. Okay.
I'm surprised they never made a sequel to that. I love that game.
Yeah, I don't know. Was that like one of those mid-tier developers or something?
It
Like,
might have been.
or
I mean,
somebody?
but there was, and plus they kind of threw a lot into it, but I think it worked well. They did like a Alcatraz type thing, and somehow there was like a Nazi plane, and one of the things that crash landed there, and all kinds of weird occult stuff, and sadistic house on haunted hill kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you know what? It looks like it was published by Midway, which is probably why.
Okay.
'Cause when they went under, there, there went the IP. Somebody probably owns it, but they're probably just part of a bulk package, and they don't realize they even really have it.
Yep.
Or sales were so bad there was no interest in making a follow up.
I think there was a
know.
there might have been a midnight release on that. I think I had enough sales to do that, so I don't know though. You might be right.
Okay. All right. So I do got to add one thing, just because it came up and nobody had it on their list, and it's not quite the horror game, but Dead Rising, the first one.
Okay.
That game was fun. It was also very annoying the way the structure of that game was, but it was just so early in the 360 PS3 generation, like that, just all the new tools available weren't quite refined yet. I remember that being like one of the first 360 games I felt like I had to get.
I can tell you the one thing that completely turned me off to that game was him holding his camera. Like, I play off of cues in games, and when he would run with his camera, it looked like he was holding his stomach or his chest. It constantly looked like he was hurt. So I could not, like, after a while, I'm like, I can't play this because I don't know when I'm dying or not.
Yeah, I had some trouble getting into the game at first, and I did one of the things I like to do when I have trouble with a game is I came back to it later and I used a guide to get through some of the early parts of the game. And once I kind of got a grasp for like what was going on, I was actually able to enjoy the game and kind of find my groove with it. But it took a little getting used to. It was a bit of a clunky game.
My wife loves that series. I mean, I think we just got rid of the first one when I got the one. And then until I got her State of Decay, I mean, that's all she played. Like, she was good with one game on any system as long as it was Dead Rising.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't get it, but that's her thing, man. She really likes it, and I know there's a lot of people like that out there.
Okay. All right. So anybody want to add anything else to our horror games before we wrap it up?
State of Decay.
State of Decay. Is it a must-buy?
It's a cheap one. You can download it, actually. I think it's a remastered one also. Open world, zombie, couple different storylines, military, regular civilian. Setting up, you set up shop, you survive, you try to save other people, get supplies. Very like the storyline driven is just pretty much survival and getting supplies. Fun game to play. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I actually enjoy it. I'm not a big zombie game person, but it's pretty good.
Okay. We'll save a few more for next year's Halloween episode, all right?
I got a list over here. I got plenty more.
Yeah, definitely hang on to that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we did have a giveaway for tonight. So here's how this is going to work. We'll give it away. We got a download code for The Last of Us Remastered on PS4. And we will give it to the first person to tweet us at TheCollectiveGC on Twitter. And if they can tell me Chris's Core 4 game that he mentioned tonight. And
ooh, making that easy, huh?
yeah, and friends and family of the show are disqualified. So, sorry. Nice try, guys. Yeah, so we'll take care of it like that. So hit us up on Twitter at TheCollectiveGC. Tell us what Chris's Core 4 game was, and you can get yourself a free copy of The Last of Us Remastered, just in time for Halloween tomorrow. Alright. So guys, it's time for me to do my thing, Malgadar's Minute. And in tonight's Malgadar's Minute, we have to talk about something serious. So here we go. Loot ninjas. They all have to die. All of them. My recommendation is public executions. I think it'd be good for the children to learn that if you steal the loot, you die painfully in front of lots of people. And we could broadcast it on television, too. That's it. That's the whole rant. I don't need any more time
We
in
should
that.
cut off their directional button finger.
Oh,
Like,
no,
like
the pickup
in
button
the middle.
finger.
Yeah, exactly.
You take the right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my rant
man.
tonight. Just kill all the loot ninjas. Who would disagree with that? Only a loot ninja. So you give yourself away. This is how we weed them all out. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, let's have a little fun here. Who's up for a little 20 questions?
Sure.
All right.
Drew, you remember how to play from last time?
Yep.
Is it an element? Sorry.
Is it an element? Oh, God. Okay, Chris, as usual, I'll give you question number 1, so you don't ask, is it an element? You all right, Chris?
Okay.
Oh, you're just thinking. Okay.
I'm thinking. Is it an RPG game?
No.
All right.
Drew?
Has it come out in the last 2 years?
No.
Is
Yo.
it a survival game?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Did this come out during the PlayStation 2, Xbox era? GameCube?
No.
All right.
Drew?
Is it a third-person game?
No.
Wow, this is like Quest for the Holy Grail all over again. What is your favorite color?
Well, I presume by third person you mean like a third, like over the shoulder kind of third person game, like.
Like Resident Evil? Or
Yeah, that's what I figured you meant. Yeah, no, it is not that.
what is it more like? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Okay, Yogi.
Is it a scroller?
Ooh.
No.
We're batting 1,000 tonight, guys.
What a tough one. We've literally got nothing here. Is it an adventure game?
No.
Oh, come on.
Did it come out before 2000?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
How are we doing this? If he gets a yes question, does he get to ask another one?
No, it's not make it take it. It's your question.
Sorry, man. I'm just trying.
If you guys get really stumped, you could break up the order. I don't care. It just seems fair to go around the horn.
Fighter? Is it a fighter?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Before 2000. All right. Was this a franchise? Like
Yes.
multiple games after it?
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Oh, I've got one in mind.
Yeah, I got one too.
I think of something that would narrow it down.
Do the console era.
Did I use karate in it? No. I'm kidding.
Do you fight?
It was before 2000. It's before the PS2, Xbox, GameCube. It would have to be something like for that, which I'm trying to think. Does you fight with just one person?
No.
Okay, that's
Or wait, what do you mean by that? Hold on. Maybe I misunderstand your question.
example. Like, do you have two? Do you have like two people that?
Oh, like a tag kind of thing? Yes, it is one person. It is not a team fighter.
Did you play this a lot on Dreamcast?
No. That is a yes or no question, so I guess you can ask that.
Because that would have narrowed it down right away for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not Soul Calibur.
All right, there we go. We knocked one out of the way without me actually saying it.
Yeah, that just slid in there before 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I missed whatever you guys just said.
He said it's
About
not Soul
connection
Calibur.
issues.
Just take that much.
What was that?
He said it's not Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Was that an actual question?
No,
sort
no.
of. He didn't directly ask that. He just asked if I played it a lot on Dreamcast.
Oh, okay.
I got a
Okay.
controller thrown at me, not purposely, but at me because of that game.
I forgot
Oh,
about that.
man.
That was pretty good. Well, it was good that it didn't actually hit you.
It made funny sounds afterwards, though.
We had a friend who
Happy
did that.
Halloween, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, it's your question.
All right.
Number 13.
Was this a Sony exclusive? So mainly on the PlayStation.
No.
All right.
That eliminates Battle Arena Toshinden.
And Tekken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted an excuse to bring that game up, that's all.
I'm trying to think of all the fighting games that were. Because I mean,
Killer
like,
Instinct.
yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
I was thinking like Smash
Street
Bros.
Fighter.
Let's just list hundreds, so we confuse ourselves even more. Was it a Nintendo exclusive?
No.
Was there a guy named Ryu in it?
Is that your question?
Is it going to get us disqualified?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Was there a guy named Ryu in it?
No, there is no one named Ryu.
So it narrows it down.
Yeah.
All right. Was there a knockoff Green Lantern character in this?
I don't understand your question.
Yeah, I don't think
There is a character.
You're going to have to tell me who this character is for me to understand that question.
Oh, I missed
Jim does
that.
not compute comic books, my friend.
Yeah.
There
I
was
know-
a character.
I know the Green
There's a
Lantern.
character in the Justice League.
Yes, I know who the Green Lantern is. I do not know any game that has a character that's a knockoff Green Lantern. So you have to explain what game and what character you're really getting at. Validate your question.
On Genesis, there was Eternal Champions. And there was a black guy character who you had a lightning bolt on him, who literally was like a knockoff version of the Green Lantern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, there was no knockoff Green Lantern character.
Right.
You are on question 17.
Shit.
That's not too good. I think a multi-platform fighting game.
Did we even get the time era?
Yeah, before 2000.
That was it?
Yeah, that's it.
Damn it.
I'm trying to think of fighting games.
Oh,
Specialty.
I think I got one.
I got one too.
I'll actually pass off my question to someone else.
All right, go ahead, Yogi.
Did somebody say get over here?
Yes.
Mortal Kombat.
The game is Mortal Kombat.
Oh man, I'm thinking of things that aren't like the more popular ones. Oh man.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought there was a slight chance I could cross you up with an arcade game and a fighting game, but
Yeah.
as soon as he said fighting game that early, I was like, nope, they're going to get this one. Too easy. So, well done, gentlemen.
I was definitely going to go with Marvel vs. Capcom as one.
Yeah, I guess there were still quite a few out there.
Yeah.
That was I think that was right after 2000, wasn't it?
Now the first one was beforehand.
Yeah.
The second one came out afterwards.
First one was horrible, man. Compared to the later one.
Yeah, but I still didn't like it because I got tired of having to do everything in a combo fashion. I'm like, yo, my fingers do not move this way. Like, why is everyone jumping around the screen and I can only like punch? Yeah, it was. I stopped playing it. I own it. Definitely stopped playing it.
I don't know. I still love the original Mortal Kombat. That game was
Great.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
I mean, they used live action people
I
with the
know.
little light bulb costumes on.
totally ripped off Big Trouble in Little China. Like, it was
Exactly.
great. No, I just remember being like 12 in the arcades playing that and like mind blown. I was like, you can rip someone's head off? Like, this is great.
Yeah.
And the music, man, it had a neat style to it.
And the crappy movie that came out.
Okay, well, we don't got to get into that, man.
No, it was so bad it was good.
It was one of those. Yeah, it was exactly that. Like it was just such a
Only
terrible movie that it was
One
great.
dude could actually fight in that movie. The rest of them were just horrible.
Oh man, it was a good time.
Breaking the ice block, and then the stone, and then the diamond. Yeah, the button smash. Remember that, Jim?
Yeah, and you know what sucked? Like, I really liked that to a degree, although now I'd probably hate something like that. But it didn't make it to the consoles. Like, that whole thing just got completely left out of the console versions.
No, I had it in the Genesis.
No, it definitely did not. I used to hate that it didn't have it in the Genesis.
I can
Maybe
swear, man.
maybe it made it to the Super Nintendo one. I'm not sure.
I didn't have Super Nintendo. I had it on Genesis. I remember I got it right
same
away.
here, and I used to hate that it didn't have that, but it would have been hard on that controller anyway.
Dude, I'm telling you, I broke stuff on there because I didn't have enough quarters to ever get that far in that game. There's always there's always like this kid that was like a savant. You know what I mean? He could barely spell his own name, but he could kick my ass in Mortal Kombat, and he would forever stay at the pizza place that it was at. And I'm just like, dude, come on, man. Let me get past round 2. You know what I mean?
Oh man, whatever happened to arcades, man?
The consoles got better.
Yeah, as soon as Dreamcast came, the arcades really started to die because the console graphics got so good that you didn't really need to go to an arcade to get the best experience anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. Good stuff. We're going to start wrapping the show up. So for those of you out there who want to catch the show, you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and all the other podcast services. Just search Collective Gamescast. You can visit our website, collectivegc.com. We also host the podcast off of there as well. You can follow us on Twitter at the Collective GC to stay up to date on show news. And you can also tweet us there if you want to try to win that copy of The Last of Us Remastered this week. You can contact me on Twitter. I am at the Malgadar, Malgadar. I'm also on PSN at _Malgadar. You can contact Chris on Twitter. He is at ChrisBCGC. And Drew, you have a new streaming channel going up, right?
Yes, I do.
Would you like to plug that?
Yeah, right now I'm giving out my email just so if anyone has any like requests, because eventually I'm going to want like people to maybe choose some games that they want to see streamed. But the email is the whole company is called Mid Game Streamers, and so the email address is midgamestreamers@gmail.com. Pretty easy. I'm going to be making a Facebook page next week, so if anyone wants to follow that, we'll post our schedule and what games that we want to, and then we want to take requests too, so then we can play some of the games that maybe haven't been done that people want to see streamed.
Can you
Okay.
stream a Quest 64 playthrough?
I actually have beaten that game. That game is actually pretty good.
Chris, you know that game's going in the bonfire.
Oh, it's such a terrible game, man.
Like, that game is so bad, it's going in the
Oh,
bonfire
man.
twice.
I,
Once
You
for
guys-
being bad, and once for Nintendo having the balls to tell us that that game is why they didn't need Final Fantasy VII.
Ugh,
Yeah.
God.
Yogi, you got anything you want to put out there? Gamer tag or anything?
Well, and again, all things fun. My buddy's store. It's a good comic book store. He's a Facebook page too. They got a Halloween fest tomorrow. And just I'm constantly writing. So if I ever publish anything or get published, just look out for my name and buy it so I can not work where I work now.
Well, you let us know. We'll be glad to push your stuff out there to the community.
Sweet.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for hanging out. You've been listening to Collective Gamescast, Episode 7, Horror Games Special, and we're out.